is Liv and welcome back to my channel for a very exciting video that I have kind of seen going around a little bit at the moment. Obviously, we are in a kind of a rough time here in our world with everything going on with COVID-19. So the absolutely lovely Rachael over at Rachael Marie has kind of started this BOOKTERNET All-Stars charity challenge, and it is a series of have I read these and what did I think about them, both of very beloved both books and authors here on the BOOKTERNET. And for every video or every post made, she is donating €1 up to 75 euros to donate to COVID relief. So that is what I am bringing you guys today, is my version of this challenge. I will have the sheet right here with all of the books and the authors. If I have read a book by this author or the book in question, I will kind of give a little review on it. And if I haven't, I will explain why I haven't read it yet. This looked like a lot of fun, and it is for a wonderful, wonderful cause. I will link Rachel's original video down below, but without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so first up on this list, we do have Angie Thomas, who is most known for The Hate U Give and then her newer book On the Come Up. I have actually never read a book by Angie Thomas before, but The Hate U Give has been on my list for a very, very long time because I really want to watch the movie. I've heard the movie is so good, and the book deals with a lot of very heavy topics, specifically that of police brutality and of Black Lives Matter. This is definitely a book that has gotten a lot of hype that I honestly do feel is well-deserved even if I haven't read it yet. So there's no, I guess, specific reason why I haven't read it yet, just haven't really gotten around to it. But I am 100% trying to increase the diversity in the books I choose to read this year, so I am really hoping that this year she will get onto my list. Next up, we have the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi. This was one of my favorite book series when I was in high school. I have only read the first 3 when it was originally a trilogy before she added the rest of the books that are still coming out today. But I honestly really need to reread the first 3 before I do move on to the ones that she has released in the past couple of years, because I feel like I've forgotten most things. The one thing I really do remember about this book series is how awesome Kenji was. He was definitely kind of a comic relief secondary character that really did kind of swoop in and steal the spotlight. He was 100% my favorite part of the series, so I think a reread is kind of overdue. This is also kind of a year that I am rereading some old favorites of mine to see if I still like them in present day, my evolved reading tastes. So that is going to be on my list. Next up, we have one of the absolute queens of YA, who is Leigh Bardugo. I have read the original Grisha trilogy, which they were okay. They weren't necessarily my favorites, but they did kind of open a door into this Grisha-verse that was then able to be expanded upon in Six of Crows, which you guys might know has recently become like my new favorite book of all time. I absolutely loved Six of Crows when I read it last month, and I'm currently working my way through Crooked Kingdom, which I've heard is even better, and that makes me really excited. And then as soon as I finish Crooked Kingdom, I would love to hop right on into King of Scars, because Nikolai was my absolute favorite character of the Shadow and Bone series. Kind of, in a way, I would compare him kind of to how Kenji was for me in Shatter Me, where I think they were more of like a side character that just kind of, you know, swooped in, stole the show, and I loved everything about Nikolai and his character, so I am so excited that he has finally gotten his own series, and I can't wait to read it. I'm kind of scared though. I've heard some very mixed reviews about whether people loved it or if it really did fall flat for them, so I guess I'm just gonna have to read it and find out for myself. I'm trying to make this as quick as I can because there are 18 prompts here, but the next one we have is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which is another book that, if you have not heard of this one, I don't know where you've been. Personally, I still have not read it. I do own it. I bought it a couple of months ago, and it's kind of just sat on my shelves for a while. This is another series that has really mixed reviews. People either absolutely love it or they absolutely hate it, so I'm intrigued to see where I fall on that spectrum. I do think it's a series that I am really going to like. I've heard that the love story in this is kind of interesting. I think it's more of like an enemies to lovers trope, which I am also kind of a sucker for, I'm not gonna lie. I am guilty of loving that trope, so I think this is definitely one that I will enjoy once I finally get around to it. Next Next up we have The Bone Witch by Range Pico, which I am going to be completely honest and say that I really know nothing about. I know I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but I don't know the first thing as to what this book is about, what it is. But this does look like something that might be right up my alley. I don't think it'd be a BOOKTERNET all-star if it didn't deserve all the hype that it has gotten. Those covers are just, they're absolutely beautiful. So I need to do my research on this one, but it might be something that I like. Who knows? I feel like my stats are not great on this video so far, but next up is another very beloved author who is V.E. Schwab. I have started A Darker Shade of Magic, which is arguably like her most beloved book series about different types of Londons and this man named Kel who can travel between them. I read the first 50 pages and then I put it down. I wasn't super into the story when I did read it. Maybe it was just bad timing for me, but I do own the first book, so I would love to go back and try to read it again sometime here in the next couple of months. I'm also trying to branch out into more adult fantasies, more than just YA, which is where I usually kind of, it's a comfortable zone for me reading YA, so I am trying to branch out further into adult. So this is kind of the time that I would love to do that, so I'm sure A Darker Shade of Magic will be on my list here very soon. But I did read City of Ghosts, which is the first in her Cassidy Blake middle grade series about this girl whose parents have a show about ghost hunting. City of Ghosts was kind of actually the most satisfying time I have ever had as a reader. The first book takes place in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I did read this when I studied abroad in England last fall, and I finished reading it while I was on the train to Edinburgh to go meet my parents for the weekend. So the entire final battle scene took place in this cemetery, and then I got off the train, met my parents, and as we were sightseeing, we essentially went straight to the cemetery. So getting to walk around this place that this epic scene had just taken place and I just read it, and then getting to see the actual setting with my own eyes, that was an experience unlike any other. So City of Ghosts really does hold a special place in my heart because of that. I have to look into more of V.E. Schwab's books. I really like her writing, and the synopsis of all of her books, they just sound so unique and so intriguing. So that's what I really need to get onto. Next up we do have The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, starting with Cinder, which is a Cinderella retelling about a cyborg. This is another book that I have owned since it first came out, but I still haven't read it yet. There's a pattern here. I bought this book because it was kind of the first time I ever knew that a retelling was a thing, and I was so intrigued by the plot line. And then I never got around to it. I did read the first couple of chapters back in January, but I'm gonna have to kind of refresh myself on that one. I think the plots of the other books in the series intrigue me more than the actual plot of Cinder. So I feel like Cinder at the moment is looking kind of like an obstacle to me. I know I'm gonna like Cinder when I finally do read it, so I don't know what's keeping me from doing so, but it's always just kind of that, not yet, I'll do it later. So my habit and my mindset on that really does need to change. We're just not quite there yet. Next up we have Adam Silvera, who is one of the very beloved authors who writes more about the LGBT side of fiction. And I have read, I'm gonna say like 1.5 of his books. I have read one book that he did write on his own, which is They Both Die at the End. I absolutely loved it. It is about two boys named Rufus and Mateo who get an alert that they are going to die at some point during that day, and they find each other on this app called Last Friend and spend their last day on Earth together. It's one of those books that going into it, you know that your heart is going to be broken, and then when it does break, you're kind of just like I was the surprised Pikachu meme when I read this book. But I really did like it, and the half I'm counting as his other book is that I did read the book he co-wrote with Becky Albertalli, which is What If It's Us, and I did listen to that one on audiobook because Froy Gutierrez voiced Ben, and I absolutely love him, so of course I had to listen to the book. The synopsis of it sounded really intriguing to me when it first came out, and then when I found out about the audiobook, that was that. I knew I had to listen to it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. But his other books are just ones that I haven't really gotten around to yet. What I love about his contemporaries is they are ones that you can just kind of sit and binge in like one sitting. So that's maybe this summer I'll get around to a few. hopefully. Next up we have Cassandra Clare, who this would not be a BOOKTERNET all-star list without Cassandra Clare and the Shadowhunter books. I have read the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices. I absolutely loved both of them. I am currently working my way through the Dark Artifices, and oh, that's amazing. I'm currently reading Lord of Shadows and I'm loving every second of it. I had a really weird relationship with Cassandra Clare for the longest time, but now that I have moved further into her books and I am on some of her more current releases, I'm absolutely loving them. She has quickly become one of my favorite authors, and I will pick up any books she writes with no hesitation. When I finish her books, I would love to finally read the Magisterium series that she did co-write with Holly Black. I feel like those are going to be easier for me to get through also because they are much shorter and they are middle grade books, which tend to be easier to read than young adults. So I'm excited. Next up we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have seen this book everywhere, but I don't know too much about it. I am pretty sure this is about like an old Hollywood starlet talking about her life, which does intrigue me. I did read Daisy Jones and the Six. I listened to the audiobook of that, which was also just phenomenal. The audiobook does have a full cast recording and it's told in interview format, which was really interesting to listen to. It's something that I don't really see in books. I think I would like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo if I did give it a shot, so maybe soon. We'll have to see. Next up we have Laini Taylor, who is another author that I do see everywhere. However, I don't really know what her books are about. I know Strange the Dreamer is one of them, and I think that's kind of the most popular one. I've heard a million mixed reviews about it. People either really love her writing style or they really don't like it, so that's kind of where I've been hesitant to pick up one of her books. I know someday I will. I've heard her writing is very kind of flowery, which I do tend to like sometimes. I just really kind of have to be in the mood for it. So once that mood is there, I might give it a shot. That's another one that we'll have to see. Next up we have Illuminate, which is kind of like BookTube's favorite sci-fi by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I have read like the first 200 pages to this, I want to say, but I know this is my friend Sydney over at Sid Bookworm. This is like her favorite book of all time, so this is one that I will also have to get to very soon. It is told in a mixed media format, which I find really interesting because that's another thing you don't really see much, but it's all like files and emails and stuff like that, which I found so cool, and I would love to work my way through this trilogy, get a little further. Maybe next month. That might be kind of at the top of my list because I want to really make that a priority, so that one will get read very soon. Next up we have Scythe by Neil Schusterman, which is a dystopian trilogy where technology has conquered everything bad in the world, including sickness and death, and the only way that you can really die is to be gleaned by a scythe. And it's about Citra and Rowan, who are two apprentice scythes, learning their way through the scythedom and the politics of this world. I have read the first two books and half of the third one. The second book, Thunderhead, was my favorite book of 2019. I absolutely loved it. It was so incredible. But the toll is moving kind of slow for me, if I'm being really honest. I know this book did fall flat for a lot of people, which is where I'm very hesitant. But someday I hope to finally finish it. I am about halfway done. I really want to finish it because I really want to know how the series ends. So that's another one that hopefully soon. I don't know. Okay, next up we have my girl Sarah J. Maas, who is one of my favorite authors. I have of course read the entirety of the Throne of Glass series, aside from the prequel novellas, The Assassin's Blade, which I'm still not wanting to admit the Throne of Glass is over, which is why I haven't read them yet. But I do know how the series ends from Kingdom of Ash, which I loved. But Throne of Glass is one of my favorite series. I've read the first book to A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I also like. It's not my favorite of her books yet, but I know A Court of Mist and Fury is some of people's favorite books ever. So that one I will get to hopefully soon. And I'm also currently working my way through Crescent City, which is her first adult novel, and I'm really liking that one too. The next one we have is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, which is another book that I do own and I haven't yet read, but lately I know the hype around this has been insane because the fourth book is coming out later this year, and supposedly she is writing a fifth one for the series. I'm not sure, but that would be really exciting. Hopefully I'll pick this one up soon because I would love to just marathon the whole series and see what all the hype is about. And that's another one that hopefully very soon. Next up we have the last author on here, who is Seanan McGuire, and I have one of her books as a sample on my Nook, and it is Every Heart a Doorway. I have heard wonderful, wonderful things about it, but she's another one that her books I don't know too much about, so I am gonna have to do some research on that one and hopefully find out if it is something that I'll like, but I think I definitely will. Next up we have The Poppy War, which is another one that a lot of people talk about, but I don't know too much about, so I don't have too much to say on this one. I've seen the cover everywhere, and the cover is really pretty. But it's another one that I am going to have to look up and see if the synopsis kind of calls to me, and that is why I haven't read it yet. And the last one on here, we have finally reached the end, but it is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I have read the first 2 books in this series. I would love to finally read the 3rd one and see how it ends, but that's another one that I'm hesitant to read because I don't want to admit to myself that it is over. I do really like the movies that have come out on Netflix for them. I think they're really good, not necessarily as adaptations, but I do enjoy them on their own. They're kind of just, the movies are addicting is the best way that I could put this, and I really enjoy watching them. They're incredible. Alright, so there you have it, guys. That was my version of the BOOKTERNET All-Stars Charity Challenge put on by the lovely, lovely Rachael Marie. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you've done this challenge, let me know down below. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, you can do so by also hitting that button down below, because I do upload every Monday and every Thursday on this channel, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!